Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to join us today on the general introduction of the 2021 SuperMap GIS contest. Before we started, let me introduce myself. I'm Meng Yi, a trainer from the SuperMap company, and you can contact me from the email below. During this presentation, if you have any questions, please raise them in chat. Although maybe I cannot say them immediately, my colleagues are there and they can help you out. And today's introduction has 5 parts. First, we will have a quick overview of the contest's general content and requirement. And in the following 4 parts, we will discuss more details and requirements for each of the group. Now, let's begin. So, SuperMap GIS contest is an annually held GIS competition open to college and university students all over the world. And it is a great chance for students to use their own GIS skills and technology from SuperMap to solve problems in actual life and industries. For this year, the topic of SuperMap GIS contest is benefit the public with geographic wisdom, and there are 4 and students can take part in this contest as individuals or groups or teams. There are 4 groups you can participate in. First one is mapping group, then is application analysis group and development group, and finally is paper group. You can take, each of them has a distinct emphasis on the application of GIS technologies, and you can choose either one to take part in based on your own skills, knowledge, and interests. No matter which group you choose, there is no limit on the topic and content of your project. So make your own choice and enjoy it. As there are 4 different groups in this contest, the requirement and judging criteria are different as well. We will discuss these details later on. First, we will look at the general requirements for the whole contest. And the first part is the general requirement for your own work. There are 3 parts that we value the most. First is effectiveness, and then originality. The third one is integrity. Effectiveness means that the work you submitted should be a complete and effective demonstration on your interpretation of the project topic you choose. Originality means that originality requires you to submit an original work, and your work should be comply with the principle of open source. And integrity, it refers to the contestant's obligation to clarify any references and citations involved in the work you're submitted in. And for the data you used in your project, there are 3 requirements: data source, legality, and policies and laws. For data source, we recommended you to use public geographic data published by national institutions or other organizations and internet enterprises. Legality refers to the requirement that the contest should ensure the copyright of the data and obtain its corresponding rights for distribution. Policy and laws is that when you are making a map, you must make sure that the content of your map comply with the relevant country's policies and laws, and you should respect the people of from other nations as well. Okay, then let's go to the second part about more detailed requirement and judging criteria for each group. And mapping group here comes the first. We expected students who participate in this group to present us with special style semantic maps based on a variety of topics, and the skills we're looking for is data processing and graph expression. And here is the judging criteria for mapping group. We can see that data processing and mapping are the most important, are the two most important part. And when you process your data, you should make sure that your data are presented in a reasonable and standardized way. Also, to make sure that there is no topology errors in your raw data. And for mapping, there's more to keep in mind. First, you should use appropriate symbols for features on your map, and then your semantic map should be created appropriately and correctly. The map color need to be soft and beautiful, so it is easily read by ordinary readers. And it is necessary to optimize the configuration of the map display and operation speed. After all the data and mapping process is done, you should present all your hard work with two documents. First is a document description, and the second one is a video for about 10 to 15 minutes to demonstrate the highlights of your work. And you can accompany it with voice explanation or PowerPoint presentation. And the software we required for this group is SuperMap iDesktop and SuperMap iDesktop X. Now, let's come to see some excellent works from previous year. This one is a collection of semantic maps. The data used to create this set of maps is the Chinese census data, and they also choose 7 factors from this large data set, and finally make 5 semantic maps. We will have a closer look at each of these maps. The first one is the population distribution map. Here we can see the largest one is the simple distribution of the population in China, and there are some smaller ones. These are the influence effects. They also think that may have some influences on the distribution of the population. And those factors are geography, economic and social influencer. And the second map is sex ratio map. here we can see that on the left is the simple ratio map for the whole China region, and on the right is the combination of sex ratio and age structure. So it will help us to have a more clear mind on both of the sex ratio and age structure for each province in China. The third map is the population growth map and the distribution of minorities in China. Since these two topics are equally important when you're doing analysis, so we can see that the scale. So we can see that these two maps are put side by side and with equal sizes. And here they also end a chart to make the readers have a more clear mind on how the population growth are changed over the years. And the fourth map is about the education level for each of the provinces in China. And they also choose two ways to analyze these factors. First one is the education level based on sex or gender. The next one is the other one is is education level based on where you live. It's a comparison, which means it's a comparison between urban and rural area in China. And the last one is the intra-provincial migration of China. And this one looks much more complicated than the others because they also use original destination analysis for the population migration for each province in China. And he put the result of the original destination on the map. So if we read these charts and the explanation paragraphs, we can learn more details about how for each year the population migration migrate between the province in China. And so from this collection of work, we can see that it is important to make your map with a lot of content and present them in a complete and beautiful way. Also, there should be an accurate representation of the factors that you think is most important. And the style of a map also will affect the readers think about the topic and the data you presented for of your work. And here's more interesting maps from previous contests. For this one, this work focuses on the films made for a specific area over the years. And we can see that on the left is the movie made for Columbia area for just 1 year, and the other one is the movie made for Columbia area for about 20 years. And they also made more maps for this area to declare how this area draws the attention for movie makers over the years. And here's another map of an urban area. We can see that there is a lot of features and areas in this map, but it's very clear because the user choose vivid symbols and clear colors for each of the map, for each of the features. So the structure is clear and easy to read. And for this one, we can see that the road system on the base map is much more complex, but the author is very smart. He used the white buffer zones to highlight on the map to highlight the transportation stations and surrounding public facilities around, which is what he interested in, and so that those white buffers help us to find the most important message from this map. And this map combines the base map with analysis chart, so it's much more easier for readers to read. And here is the land use map for the same area, and we can see that there's much more information on this map, but the structure is clear, and because they also use the different colors for each land use type according to the relevant requirement, and so it's easy to read and the structure is clear. And from all of these maps, we can see that the most important thing is to make your map looks appealing, and what will help you to achieve this goal is to find reasonable color matching and design an elegant appearance of your map. And besides of this, there's varied themes you can choose from. So don't worry and just think about what you are interested in and what you want to make. And for students choose mapping group, we have 3 suggestions for you. First, you need to find a innovative topic for your project. And after that, you should collect enough data to make an atlas of various thematic map, and it is better to explain your map with charts and some text and some texts. And finally, there should be a thorough interpretation of your result. We recommend you to write a clear and concise report of it. And here is a topic hint for your map. As we know, the world is still suffering from COVID-19 pandemic, and GIS is a great way to help us make good decisions and helping people who suffer from this disease. So if you are interested, you can choose COVID-19 pandemic trend as your topic and make your own map for your country or the area you are interested in. Now let's come to application analysis map. If you are interested in analysis and mining special data, we recommend you to choose application analysis group. And in this group, you will have a chance to discover analysis and solve actual life and industrial application problems in your project. And here is the software requirement and judging criteria. Here we can see that for application analysis group, the most important part of your work should be solving processing. And before that, you should have a clear mind on what is the topic for your project and how to have a comprehensive and correct solution for your analysis and the solution you make. And during your for your solving processing, you should make sure you're using the correct data without any errors, and then using those data to do a thoroughful analysis and present them in the beautiful map. And also you should have a clear documentation on the analysis method you used and the software operations. Also, we require you to present us with an analysis report and a video to demonstrate the highlights of your work. And here is more software to use in this group. You can still use SuperMap iDesktop X, and also you can use SuperMap iObjects Java as well. And here is a way to earn extra points for your work. You can use the geoprocessing model tools in SuperMap GIS software and to build your own geographic model for your analysis or data processing, and submit the model you build with the work. And if your model works correctly, then you can earn these extra points. And here we will introduce you some excellent works from other contestants. The first one is a teamwork. This team wanted to design an urban underground distribution system. They obtained their point of interest using crawlers, and in their report, they represented them with clustering methods, which is much more informative than the ordinary points you can see on the left map. And then they designed a very clear but also a clear and thorough workflow for their whole project. And in the project, they choose to compare two modeling methods. The first one is gravity modeling, and the other one is distance modeling. So in the report, they included their process of iteration for both of the two models, and to justify why they choose the one they use to finally design the distribution system. And from this work, we can see that it is highly possible to use GIS technologies to solve actual problems in life and work. But when doing that, you should keep in mind that it is very hard to have a comprehensive analysis. So it's time consuming, and you should keep trying to think what is the best solution and what is the most appropriate method for your project. And as the last one is a teamwork, if you prefer to work as an individual, then there's something you can learn from this project. This one is a hydrological analysis for Turkey, and they also presented us with all his operations in SuperMap iDesktop Java. And we can see that here is what he started with. And then he have some results in SuperMap iDesktop, but he's not just satisfied with the simple result. He also add he also added a base map for his work, and also some extra elements such as the border here. And so this is how he finally presented his work. And from this one, we can see that although this is application analysis group, it is still important to make a beautiful and smooth map to represent your work and project. And your final presentation should have a clear demonstration on how you solve a problem and how the result looks like. And it is important to have a clear documentation on your problem solving processing. And this one is more interesting. This is a model shows the flight statute of satellite in space in 3 dimensions. And here we can see there is satellite flight orbits and also the rotation of the Earth. So from this one, we can see that it is very interesting to use a realistic model in your work. And it is possible to combine GIS with 3-dimensional data. And you can also take this as a hint for your novel topic. And now let's talk about development group. Now, for development group, we require the students to design and develop GIS application system combined with current mainstream IT technology. And the final system you presented us should fully reflect the application value of GIS in various fields. Here is the judging criteria for development group. The most important 2 parts are system design and system implementation. To design your system, you should first have a novel topic comes from industrial application or find some new application in traditional fields. And you should design your system with a distinctive features in your functions and using GIS technologies to solve the problem. And also you should have a clear and reasonable design scheme. So your system has complete functions and also reflecting the current mainstream IT technology and GIS technology. And for system implementation, the first requirement is that you should have a clear structure of your code and use enough rich data to fully represent the problem you want to solve and the process of how to solve the problem. And after all the work is done, you should make them as a complete package and submit it to us. Also, because you are designing application system, so the user experience is also important. You should make your interface friendly and optimize the performance of the map or scene or the whole system. Finally, you should have two documentation of your project. The first one is a document description, and the second one is a video to show the highlights of your work. And you can also earn some extra points in this group. There are two ways to earn those extra points. The first one is to use mobile SDK for secondary development and submit the work to Apple Store or other application markets and realize a AR map and provide scheme recording of your operations. The second way to earn extra points is to submit your work in two application systems, which means you'd better make your system work both on web browser and also on cell phone applications. And later on we will have an example for this one. And there's much more software you can use for development group. SuperMap GIS server is the core software for development group because it will work as the server of your system. And then you can use iDesktop X and iDesktop to process your data before you're really working on the system. And to build your own system, you can choose from iObjects.net, iObjects Java, or iClient JavaScript, etc. based on your project design. And here is an example of a work worth 4 extra points. This one works not only on website, but also can be used by end users using their cell phones. And for cell phone users, there are end users, and because this is a travel app, so the end users on mobile phone really are tour guide and tourists. And for the web end, the users are managers of the whole system. And the whole system is deployed using Tom Mac. And here's some emphasis on the functions of the system. We can see that on the mobile phone apps, it has the function of alert checking, group gathering, route planning, giving travel suggestions, and also tracing, so that it will help. So alert checking and group gathering and route planning will help the tourists to use this app during their travel and have a clear plan on their day of visiting. And the travel suggestions will help the users to plan their travel before they go. And tracing would help those who travel together to make sure that no one in the group are going to missing or lost. And here is the interface for the web end, which is for the managers of the system. Here, they can monitoring the vehicles in the system and do some travel analysis for each travel site. And they can also manage the tour guide and tourist information and plan some travel route for tourists. So from this work, we can learn that it is highly possible to build a system based both on web and mobile. And To do that, you should design a complete functions for your whole system. And it is a good example for how to make a friendly user interface and make the operation of the system to be simple. And the base map for the system is also beautiful. And this work is done by a team, but you can also work on your own to build your own system. Here is an example to build a city travel network analysis system just by one contestant. Here is his workflow, and he realized most of the functions for network analysis. The first one is geocoding, and then is route planning, and he also have a heat map for travel frequency for this specific area. And here is an example of his code. We can see that this code is clear and concise, and they also have comments for each chunk, so it is easily for judges to read his code. So here we can see that if you want to make a system by your own, you also need to make sure there is a clear description of your system, and the code structure of your work should be concise and clear. And also the simplification of operation is important for any kind of systems. Finally, let's come to paper group. For paper group, we require students to submit papers based on academic research and technical application of SuperMap related products. We have some suggestions on the content. For example, you can present your work based on SuperMap GIS application cases and industrial solutions, or you can do some research on GIS technology development status and development trends, etc. And here is the judging criteria. Because it's a paper group, so the most important is your writing quality and the writing norms for academic paper. And you should make sure the topic you choose is important, and you have a scientific and innovative interpretation on the topic. The difficulty of your work is also our judging criteria. And if your work is published, then you can earn some more points for that. And there is honestly no limit on what kind of software you want to use for your paper, as long as you use SuperMap products. And there's some content requirement. First, your paper should have rationality, scientificity, practicality, and innovation. And it follows the principle of standard writing. And if you're working on projects for other groups in this contest, and you think your work is good enough to write an academic paper, then you can write it and submit it for the paper group. And the participant students in this group must be the first author of the paper. Okay, so this is all the introduction of the requirements and group for this year's contest. And if you haven't downloaded all the softwares you need to use for this contest, you can go to this website. You can go to this website and download our products. And if you think you need to learn more skills on how to use the softwares, there are some live training courses. And the first training course start today for mapping group, and it will start soon, so don't leave us. And all the other training lives will go on Zoom, so you can just remember this code or scan this QR code. And if you want to have some more discussion with students in this contest, you can scan this Skype QR code to join Skype groups for discussion. And on the right is the Google Classroom code. You can join these classrooms to download some data and some data used for the homework for each live training, and also submit your work in Google Classroom. And for each of the live training course, it will begin on 4 p.m. In Beijing time, or you can remember it as 4 p.m. in UTC 8 time zone. And that's it. Any questions?
All right. Thank you very much, Zhang Yi, for your wonderful introduction of SuperMap GIS contest. There are some questions, but we already answered them in the Q&A box. So for others, if you have any further questions, please feel free to let us know your question, and you can post them in the Q&A box. Okay, thank you again, Zhang Yi. And that's the first session of today. And the second session will be the first day training of mapping group. We will come back in 5 minutes. All right. Yeah, and I saw that there is a question is submit works in classroom. You mean homework or the project that I would submit for the contest? The first for the classroom, the submit work should be the homework for the training, but for the submission of contest, you can refer to the get document we shared, and there is an email address. You may upload your contest work to the Google Drive and share the link to us through sending the email to the email address.